Welcome. Thanks for jumping in here on a Saturday afternoon. Hope you're all doing well. I'm your host, Dave Knapp, man on the Manjaro. That's why I'm here. You are on the pen. Wegovy, Saxenda, Victoza, Trulicity, Manjaro, Zepbound, Compound. That's what we talk about here at On the Pen. And we've got some breaking news on this Saturday afternoon. I apologize if there's any latency here or any issues with the stream. It seemed like as soon as we kicked off here, there was seemed to be some technical issues, but hopefully everything is ironed out. Thank you for joining me. We've got some breaking news in the world of compounds, this time semaglutide. And this is an On the Pen exclusive, so you're not going to catch this news anywhere else. If you do, it's because it came from us. We got some industry inside information here. We have verified this now with multiple sources of the highest order in compounding. So let's talk about it. Novo Nordisk today, yesterday, late last night, Novo Nordisk sent out cease and desist letters to telehealth companies over companies that were selling compounded versions of Ozempic and Wegovy, compounded semaglutide. So Novo Nordisk is ramping up their legal fight against compound pharmacies and businesses selling unauthorized versions of semaglutide. In this new round of cease and desist letters, right, we've seen them from Eli Lilly before. We've not seen them sent to telehealth companies by Novo Nordisk to date. The pharmaceutical giant demands that multiple telehealth companies who prefer anonymity at this point, but it is multiple and probably even farther, more widespread than even we're aware of at this moment. They're alleging that they're involved in distributing compounded semaglutide, which of course they are, and they demand that they immediately stop selling these products or face legal consequences. Now, this move follows the FDA's recent decision from February 21st, declaring that the shortages of Ozempic and Wegovy were officially over. And then that ruling, which is now being challenged in court by the OFA, similarly to the way that they challenged their tirzepatide shortage ending, has major implications for compounding, ultimately effectively making it illegal to mass produce copies of semaglutide. So here's what you need to know. Here's what's important and inside these letters. So there's basically three main areas of concern. And none of them are really new, but this is what is specifically outlined in this letters, which we have had our eyes on here. Once we get approval, and if we get approval to share any of them with you, we will. But as you can imagine, they're keeping this stuff pretty close to the chest. So patient safety risks are the first thing that Novo highlights. They say that semaglutide and Ozempic and Wegovy is produced using recombinant DNA technology in yeast, which is a process that Novo says is difficult to replicate. Many compounded versions use synthetic semaglutide, which may have different impurity profiles and stability issues. The FDA has also issued multiple warnings about contaminated and mislabeled compounded versions, leading to dosing errors and adverse events. The second thing would be the new FDA restrictions on compounding. With the shortage being over, the FDA no longer allows outsourcing facilities to compound semaglutide. Compounding pharmacies can still make small amounts with custom doses and custom formulations based upon a patient's specific needs, but the mass compounding will be coming to an end here shortly, with enforcement looming from the FDA in the background. Legal action as well was highlighted in this letter. Novo Nordisk had mentioned in the letter that they've already filed over 100 lawsuits against companies selling unauthorized semaglutide, which many courts issued permanent bans on. Of course, they haven't won them all. There's been some big high-profile ones, especially recently in Florida, that they've lost, but over 100 lawsuits. So they're not afraid to take legal action to protect semaglutide. The company's giving recipients of this letter about a week, so till March 7th, to comply or risk being added to this growing sort of number of people that Novo Nordisk is going after. For patients and those who have relied on compound semaglutide due to cost or access issues, This is obviously hugely impactful because you see this sort of coinciding with the tirzepatide shortage ending too. Both things kind of happening all at once. And if Novo Nordisk's legal strategy succeeds, compounded semaglutide will likely become very challenging to obtain. Again, going back to those medically necessary custom dosing, custom formulations to prescribe. And that just won't be as easy as it is today as we know it. And while some argue that compounding plays a role in increasing accessibility, Novo maintains that its FDA-approved products are the only ones with proven safety and efficacy. Of course, that's just a statement of fact. The FDA does not approve compounded versions of GLP-1s. They're not tested. They're not exactly the same, but the FDA calls them essentially copies. So they're pretty close, but they cannot use the same labeling. They cannot use even the same side effect profiles as the branded versions because they are not considered the same by the FDA. We had a interesting conversation this past week with Scott Bruner in a media session that they offered, and yeah, it was very interesting. But they did get into that a little bit. They can't even put the warnings of the regular branded stuff on there because in fact it's not FDA approved. So obviously this just is going to put people in a tougher spot. A lot of people in a tougher spot, relying on traditional pharmacy channels, going through your insurance and all the restrictions there, prior authorizations, all the issues that can come with that, and the higher out-of-pocket costs for so many people. And I think the biggest concern for me from where I sit is the amount of people that will be moving to the gray market because that is their only option in their mind. And that I think is a scary proposition to have, thousands of people relying on that as a way to maintain access to semaglutide. So it's unfortunate and not all too surprising, the news today, but I think it is interesting to see that Novo is sort of taking that same track as Lilly took. We haven't seen them do that as aggressively as Eli Lilly did when their shortage ended. And even prior to the shortage ending, they were sort of making claims and kind of going after different med spas and things of that sort. So that's the news today. Thank you for hanging out with me for a few minutes while this breaks. We've got an article over at onthepen.com about this specific issue. If you want to dive a little bit deeper, go to onthepen.com. We've got the article there. Make sure you scroll to the bottom and sign up for email alerts while you're there. That'll make sure that you're on top of all this news as it breaks, because this will be a developing story and more will be to come on this. But if you could, before you go, hit that thumbs up button, which will just help me help you, right? That helps us grow here. I bring you the news, you hit the thumbs up, you hit the subscribe button, you do those things. That's what helps me in return. So thank you for those who are even doing that right now. But that's the news today. I hope you all enjoy your weekend. Thanks for sticking with me with this update, and we will catch you on the next one. Have a great weekend, my friends.